Can you give us an update on Six Rivers, please?
Really successful Six Rivers, I have to say. So we're very pleased. I mean, we've been there for about 10 years now. You want to do a bit of good in the world, but you can't do good everywhere. So you have to sort of pick and choose where your charitable interests lie. We picked this remarkable species called the salmon, which has a pretty tough life, can survive in freshwater and seawater. It's quite interesting if you look at the life of the salmon. It's obviously born in the river because the salmon spawn in the river. It spends 3 years in the river as a small thing called parr, and then it flips into a thing called a smolt, which has got this capability of living in seawater as well as freshwater. And then it goes out to sea for 1 or 2 years and tries to survive at sea, which is quite tough because they're quite small and there's a few predators out at sea, of course, not to mention humans with their fishing nets, either fishing them or fishing the food that they're trying to find to eat. Then it comes back into the river in the spring, and then it sort of fiddles about in the river for 4 or 5 months while it finds a happy place and finds a partner. And then they spawn in the river in the autumn. Yeah. They then live under the ice through the winter, and they try to get back to sea the following. So they spend a whole year in the river and they don't eat anything, and 6 months of that they live under the ice. And of course the water's always flowing, so they're always swimming. So they spend a year swimming without any food, and then they go back to sea again and try and do it all over again. So it is a remarkable species. What's rather sad in a way is it's sort of interesting with all, if you look at all wildlife, if you look at the number of offspring they have, it relates to the adversity of their subsequent life. So if you have more offspring, then it means adversity is high because not many survive, as opposed to humans where we only have a few offspring and adversity is very low because most of our offspring survive. If a population of a species remains constant, the parents have to produce 2 successful offspring, a male and a female. So there's mortality in the river, but then when they go out to sea, there's huge mortality. So it's a tough life for a salmon, and eventually gets back in the river and he has to spend a year without eating and live under the ice. So I've always thought it's one of the magnificent species in the world. But if you look at this is the North Atlantic salmon, it's different to the Pacific salmon. It's in a very tough place. Most of Norway has shut down salmon fishing for 5 years because they've overfished the rivers. So there's very little salmon left in Norway. And then we go around the other side in Canada and America. America, there's very little left, and Canada is in a tough place. So we've got this island in the middle of the North Atlantic called Iceland, which is where the salmon is ultimately going to survive if it ever survives. The biggest river in the world for salmon, for North Atlantic salmon, was the Rhine. But of course, it's just humans. We either pollute or we overfish. We can't help ourselves. Even in Iceland, what happens, and you've seen it, unfortunately, in Scotland and Spades, and the outcome is terrible, that when the salmon numbers decline, the rivers are run commercially. So you can't sell your license or your rod for as much money as you could 5 years ago when the numbers were higher. So your income goes down. So the solution to that, in all these rivers, I'm afraid, is they put more rods on the river. They sell more rods. So you've got less fish, but then you've got more fishermen, but they're cheaper. And of course, that just puts more pressure on the fish, and eventually it wipes them out, and you finish it with a disaster on your hand. And that's where you are in Scotland now. They've got to that place where it's a disaster. You can't give a rod away on the spey anymore because there aren't salmon left. And so in Iceland, with our project, we're up in the top right-hand corner of Iceland, which is very low population. So there's very few people around, so there's no pollution in the rivers. And when we take over the rivers, the first thing we do is reduce the number of rods. We reduce the number of hours of fishing. We reduce the number of fish you can catch. We reduce the size of the hooks. We enormously reduce the pressure on the salmon in the river. We do supplementary things like plant trees, because from trees you get biomass that falls into the river, which gives the young salmon in the river more food, basically, either insects, vegetation, all that type of stuff. And then we build fish ladders. So there are lots of parts of the river, tributaries of the river, which are inaccessible because the fish can't get up a waterfall. But if you put a fish ladder in, then it opens up access to acreage of sort of breeding grounds, really. So then the salmon can fan out, and they've got lots more space. So those are the sorts of things that we're doing with the salmon, and it's been really, really successful. So what's happened now with our rivers is, with those limitations on number of rods, the price of the fishing has gone in the opposite direction. So we now sell our fishing for a multiple of where we were 10 years ago. but we've hugely reduced the pressure on the salmon, and the number of salmon has increased enormously in the rivers. So it's been really successful, but it's very isolated to that top right-hand corner of Iceland. So it's nice if people in the world are maybe aware of what we're doing up there, and that some restraint can be quite effective in resuscitating. There's a David Attenborough statistic which is quite interesting, that if you look at what humans have done on the planet since we sort of emerged 200,000 years ago, whenever it was, from Africa, the planet was 99% wildlife and 1% humans, and if you go back 500,000 years or so. But today, there are 400 million tons of humans, which is 8 billion at 50 kilos. So 400 million tons of humans, 600 million tons of livestock in the world, and there are 20 million tons of wildlife.
Wow.
So we have eradicated 98% of all the wildlife on the planet, and we've replaced them with ourselves and our livestock.
Our food.
So there's only 2% left of the wildlife on the planet that there were 500,000 years ago. And we're very, very efficient at it, as we know. You get enormous pleasure out of wildlife. I think it's a really important. We don't want to live on a barren planet where we've wiped out everything apart from ourselves. I mean, that's, we're not locusts. We should look after, it'd be very sad, wouldn't it, if there were no elephants, lions, giraffe left on the planet, or Atlantic salmon. So anyway, we're doing our bit, and we've also got 6 rivers in Africa. In the Selous, which is the largest national park in Africa, in southern Tanzania, doing similar stuff, really.